are of Group Captain Shukla moments after getting out of the Crew Dragon spacecraft, which splashed down in the Pacific. It was put on a mothership, and then Shukla emerged from there along with the others. Remember, you need to find your Earth legs. It takes a little bit of time to get used to the gravity back on Earth, but a huge smile on his face, and all's well that ends well. But later on the program, we'll be moving to something completely different. There's been an important verdict which has come in for the Pune hit-and-run case. Remember that 17-year-old who ran over to IT executives in a car when he was completely drunk, and there was a systemic effort at a cover-up. On the entire issue of whether that 17-year-old should be tried as an adult, there's been an important court verdict. We'll tell you about that. But first, this interview with the ISRO chief on the successful return of India's Shubhanshu Shukla. But let's go across. Sir, thanks very much for being with us. You know, your first thoughts on Shubhanshu Shukla returning from this incredible mission?
Say, we in Department of Space is extremely happy for the grand successful mission. We are very, very happy due to a couple of reasons. Because you all know, we are all working hard for making the Gaganyaan program as a successful mission. And this Gaganyaan program was approved by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji in 2018, August 15. And this development involves a lot of things. We have to make a human-rated launch vehicle. We have to develop the orbital module. We have to develop a crew escape system. We have to develop environmental control systems. We have to develop parachutes, and the entire mission management we have to develop. Recovery studies we have to do. Then very important thing in this Gaganyaan mission is interfacing of human being with hardware and software.
Yeah.
Now, we have only one experience. 1984, Rakesh Sharma ji went to space and came back.
Yes.
We are effectively utilizing him, consulting him for a lot of things. Now, it is Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, his vision, 2023, he strongly felt the need of sending one of the Gaganyaan 3 out of 4 to International Space Station. And then it is his vision, and we signed a MOU and we are executing from ISRO. First of all, I want to tell the audience that the Gaganyaan 3s are the employees of Indian Space Research Organization. They are not like, they are not from other organizations. They are our colleagues, they are working with us.
Yeah.
Now, the advantage of this mission is, the 10 months, 2 of the Gaganyaan 3s. One is Suganu, our Shukla ji, and another one is Prashant Nair. Both were trained for 10 months. They got exposure. Second thing is, yes, when you are, I want to tell, when first time when I went by flight, my village, a lot of people came to me and they were asking, how was the flight? Was it safe? A lot of things. But today nobody is asking.
So when it was, the mission was set to go, and there were obviously quite a few delays. You had some real concerns about cryogenic leaks. And as I understand it, ISRO put its foot down and said, no, wait, let there be more checks, tests and corrections before the liftoff actually takes place. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
For ISRO, the safety of our Gaganyaan 3 and other 3 people are the primary thing. So we informed them to totally correct the rocket, then only we can authorize. Yeah. And then there were a lot of difference of opinion, but then based on our insistence, the launch was called off. And after that, when they located the leak point, it was a crack and everything was corrected. And because of that, it was a successful mission. And we Indians from ISRO ensured a successful liftoff of the rocket. Otherwise, there would have been real severe problem. But then, based on Indian education system, Indian knowledge and ISRO team, we stopped and we insisted for correction. And as a team, finally it was corrected. And we ensured the safe liftoff. And of course, then Shukla ji has gone and he was docked on 26th, 25th lifted off, 26th it was docked. And major advantages are he is working with experienced people. And when he is going with the experienced team, he gains confidence. And we have also planned a lot of experiment. And experiment is not only done by Shukla ji, it was done in the ground by some of my colleagues. It was well designed, and he has to do some experiment. That he has sincerely done. Whatever is expected out of him, he has sincerely done.
So is it true that you would not have proceeded with the mission had those checks not been fixed, had those problems not been fixed prior to the liftoff?
Answer is yes, because for us, our brother's safety is the primary thing. Our Gaganyatri safety. Not only that, say we don't look at only our person. For astronaut safety is the primary thing. Because of that, we told we will not go ahead. We will not allow to go ahead.
All right, the ISRO chief speaking to me just a few moments back. Thanks so very much for being with us. Thank you very much indeed. Well, let's bring you a couple of the images that you see on your screen now are of Shubhanshu Shukla, his first couple of steps back on Earth after a successful mission where eventually he splashed down along with his crewmates on the Crew Dragon Grace spacecraft off the coast of San Diego in the United States in the Pacific Ocean. That's not normally where the Crew Dragons have been coming down or splashing down, but shortly after splashing down successfully, and there was no real drama at all over there, it was dragged to a mothership. It was then brought onto that mothership before it was brought forward, and then one by one the crew members emerged. Well, joining us now, Christopher Impey, Distinguished Professor of the Department of Astronomy at the University of Arizona. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us. We don't often talk about the final phase of the flight anymore, do we? Because it's all become fairly normal. But in fact, this is perhaps the most challenging aspect, the recovery of the astronauts after a mission. The entire business of re-entry has always been challenging over the decades. Would you like to reflect on that?
Yeah, certainly, because you're talking about supersonic travel through a thickening atmosphere, intense heat generated. This is the place where systems can fail. This plus the max Q part of the launch are the most hazardous parts of any flight. So people tend to breathe a sigh of relief when the astronauts are on their way home thinking that's all. But remember, a space shuttle was lost catastrophically on re-entry, so it's not a trivial procedure.
I just spoke to the Indian Space Research Organization chief a few minutes back, is when we played out the interview, and he made a startling point when he said that this mission was delayed because of leaks which took place and were noticed prior to liftoff, and that had it not been for the intervention of ISRO scientists, they would likely have gone in for a fix on the pad and blasted off, when in fact ISRO deemed that to be a solution which wasn't good enough, and that they might even have pulled Shukla from the mission, which means that the mission itself couldn't have gone through had that not been fixed. In its speed to get things done, does SpaceX sometimes push frontiers where caution should perhaps be exercised a little bit more?
SpaceX has an excellent track record. As we know, the Falcon 9 has had over 500 successful launches and only a couple of failures. So I think SpaceX does take chances when there are no people on board. We've seen starships, only half of the starships have had successful flights. They've inched forward with that program, but they've had some catastrophic and spectacular failures. I think when people are on board, even Elon Musk's kind of let it hang out there attitude turns into, human life is valuable, let's get this right, because he knows the whole future of his business depends on the safety aspect when humans are involved.
Are you excited about an Indian space mission, an Indian crewed mission that should happen a little more than 2 years from now? They're in fairly advanced stage of development of various technologies. They're not quite through with all of it, but India is determined. Are you excited at the prospect of another nation being in space on their own spacecraft?
Well, absolutely. That's only a couple of years away, and I know in the future projection we're talking about an Indian space station by the end of this decade and boots on the moon, Indian boots on the moon by 2040. That's a very ambitious goal, but I think it's achievable. The Indian space program has come on by leaps and bounds. They've been to the moon robotically and done some spectacular things. So all of these are completely achievable.
The Indian space program has focused a great deal on frugality, and that had to do with the fact that through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, certainly, there just wasn't enough money for anything more ambitious. But I think frugal engineering has worked out well. The cost of India's Mars orbiter, for example, was less than a mainstream Hollywood production. So there's something to be said about being frugal as well, right?
Absolutely. And that's also the distinction between robotic and manned or human missions. Landers and orbiters, which India's done now, robots are cheaper and they're easy. You don't have to worry about safeguarding the life. You can miniaturize things. You can test them on the ground. So, when you prove yourself in a space program with a lot of robotic missions and landers and orbiters and so on, that's a smart way to go. And you can develop the human part alongside, but it's always going to be much more expensive.
Are you personally of the opinion that crewed missions are the way forward? Because there are so many who suggest that, you can efficiently do deep space missions using robotic missions.
It's a correct statement. It is far cheaper to do certain things in space, most things in space with robots, and exploring the moon, Mars, and planets also much cheaper. But there's a human urge here, and that's a human urge to explore. If you look at that map of how humans radiated across the planet after leaving Africa 50,000 years ago, we spread across the entire planet in a staggeringly short time. I mean, animals migrate large distances to mate or for food. Only humans explore because they're curious. And having exhausted our planet, we're going to explore in space. I think it's really a fundamental human urge, and we're going to satisfy that urge.
All right. And in terms of the International Space Station itself, it's been around now for a while. How does it continue to be so critical in terms of basic research which we need to do to actually extend our horizons in space?
I think it's been heavily criticized for the cost and for the fact that it's the scientific research on the space stations and perhaps not spectacularly exciting. But this continuous demonstration over decades of living and working in space, the involvement of 20 different countries, including countries that don't get on with each other like the United States and Russia, that's very important. It's a demonstration of cooperation in space, of the ability to just do the routine things in space. And space is pretty mundane, right? A lot of the work on the space station is plumbing and electrical work. It's not very exotic.
All right, sir, thanks very much for being with us, sharing your thoughts on this mission and the future of space expeditions themselves. Thanks very much indeed. Well, there was a great deal of excitement over here in India earlier on in the day. Shubhanshu Shukla's parents and friends and well-wishers, they were all at Shubhanshu Shukla's school in Lucknow. There was a lot of partying and cheering at the end of the mission, but there were some tense moments beforehand. His mum was in tears with nervousness that soon became tears of joy when he touched down or he splashed down successfully. We spoke to Shubhanshu Shukla's father. Here's what he said.
सबसे पहले NDTV की तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई, बहुत शुभकामनाएं। क्या फीलिंग थी उस वक्त जब आप सोफे पे बैठे बैठे खड़े हो गए उस वक्त?
नहीं तो फीलिंग अच्छी थी, बच्चे का जो है वापसी हो रही थी, बच्चे की अच्छी तरह जो है वो मतलब जो है लैंडिंग हुई और बच्चा उससे जो है ड्रैगन से बाहर आया तो बड़ा अच्छा लगा। देश मतलब दिल को जो है बहुत सुकून देने वाला लगा। आज जो है बहुत अच्छा मतलब जो है हम महसूस करते हैं कि बहुत हल्के हो गए हैं।
अच्छा, जब कैप्सूल लैंड हो रहा था तो बड़ा रिस्क भी होता है कई बार, कितना डर ज़्यादा था या खुशी ज़्यादा थी कि बेटा सुरक्षित?
डर नहीं था, बस एक भावनात्मक जो लगाव होता है जैसे आदमी से, तो उसको जो ये होता है कि हम देखते हैं कि उसको कोई मतलब कोई परेशानी ना होने पाए। परेशानी उसकी जगह पर हमें हो जाए तो दिक्कत नहीं है, उसको ना कोई परेशानी। ये भावनात्मक वो अटैचमेंट होता है बच्चे बाप बेटे का, तो उसके लिए थोड़ा सा जो है मन में वो था, बाकी कोई हमें दिक्कत नहीं।
परसों जब आपकी बात हुई, क्या बात हुई थी?
तो उसने यही बताया था पापा सब यहाँ ठीक है और हम जो है कल निकल रहे हैं यहाँ से, और मतलब लौटने के बाद ही बात होगी, अब बीच में बात नहीं होगी, और जो है अच्छी तरह वापस आते हैं फिर आपसे बात करते हैं।
अच्छा बाबूजी, एक तरफ तो विज्ञान था कि विज्ञान ने अंतरिक्ष में ले जाने का काम किया, वापस लाने का काम किया, दूसरी तरफ धर्म था जब आप सुबह पूजा पाठ कर रहे थे। ये विज्ञान और धर्म का जो समावेश है ये कितना काम करता आपके साथ?
विज्ञान देखिए विज्ञान तो अपनी जगह पर पूरा काम करता है, मगर आस्था साथ में जुड़ी रहती है तो उसमें विश्वास पैदा होता है। बगैर विश्वास के संभव नहीं है। विश्वास आस्था पैदा करती है, और आस्था बच्चे के लिए हमारे मन में तो 100%, बच्चे में मतलब जो है विज्ञान 100% होगा, मेरे में आस्था 100%। तो ये दोनों रहते हैं साथ में, तो हर मिशन पूरा होगा उसका।
आप लोगों की आंखों में बहुत इमोशन के आंसू थे, और शुभांशु जब निकल रहे थे तो उनके चेहरे पे एक अलग ही मुस्कान थी। ये
हमेशा मुस्कुराता रहता, कभी आपने देखा होगा उसको हमेशा मुस्कुराते पाएंगे।
highly happy and proud and so happy to see all the love. Day one से मैं भी यही बोल रही हूँ कि शुभांशु शुक्ला का ऑब्जेक्टिव भी यही है, और हमारा एज अ फैमिली भी हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव भी यही है कि इनकी वजह से अगर ये बच्चे मोटिवेट होते हैं और फ्यूचरिस्टिक प्लान सोचते हैं और इसके बारे में डेडिकेट होते हैं, इससे अच्छा अचीवमेंट और कुछ नहीं हो सकता है। दैट वुड बी द बेस्ट अचीवमेंट। और आज जो लैंडिंग हुई है बहुत खूबसूरत थी, बहुत स्मूथ थी, एंड वी गॉट इमोशनल ऑल्सो। एंड इसी की उम्मीद थी, क्योंकि हमेशा से भरोसा रहा है कि शुभांशु शुक्ला जो करेंगे वो अच्छा ही करेंगे।
हम लोग को भी भरोसा था कि बिल्कुल सेफ आ जाएंगे, लेकिन उस वक्त इमोशन कैसा था, एक बार अगर एक्सप्लेन कर सके।
दिस इज़ रियली डिफिकल्ट क्योंकि ये इमोशन केवल आंसुओं के फॉर्म में बाहर आया, एंड वर्ड्स आर नॉट इनफ राइट नाउ टू एक्सप्लेन दिस, बट हाईली प्राउड ऑफ इट, एंड आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू से। आई एम सो थ्रिल्ड राइट नाउ, आई डोंट नो हाउ टू से थैंक यू टू गॉड कि शुभांशु ने ये सक्सेसफुली मिशन पूरा किया है और मैं उनकी बहन हूँ। आई डोंट नो हाउ टू से थैंक।
नई यात्रा शुरू होगी 2 साल बाद।
डेफिनेटली एक नई यात्रा, मैं विश करती हूँ वो कई सारी और नई यात्रा करें। ये तो शुरुआत है, अभी डेट नहीं पता है अभी इंडिया कब आ रहे हैं या लखनऊ कब आ रहे हैं। दैट इज़ वी आर नॉट। ऑफ कोर्स सेलिब्रेशन है, दिस इज़ अ हाई मोमेंट ऑफ सेलिब्रेशन। ये किसी भी दिवाली और होली से बहुत बड़ा सेलिब्रेशन है। ये हम लोगों को 41 साल लग गए इस अचीवमेंट को पाने के लिए, सो इससे बड़ा सेलिब्रेशन और कुछ नहीं हो सकता।